Okay. So let's start with this. What do you mean by a program? Okay. So you take any device, or you take an example of any washing machine or any microwave oven. So it doesn't start on its own, right? So we have to pass some instructions to it so that it can process and give back us the results. For example, if we take examples of fully automatic washing machines these days that are available, so, we have to select the program in it, like what kind of wash we are expecting from it. Like we are expecting a quick wash from it, or blanket wash, or delicate wash. So we have to select on program button, and then we have to select on start button. Okay. So like this, even your system cannot take decision on its own. It cannot give anything, any output on its own. So we have to pass some instructions to it, and so that it can process and give us back the results. So program is nothing but it is a set of coded software instructions. So coded software instructions is something like, which follows some coding standards, which follows some syntaxes, like you have to end every statement with semicolon. You have to write parenthesis after a block, like these kind of instructions, like so software instructions, if it follows. So that kind of thing, you call it as what? It's called as a program. Now, what do you mean by programming? So the way you design these programs, that process is actually called as what? Programming. So what kind of programming paradigm you follow in order to design the programs? You're following procedure oriented, or you're following object oriented, or you're following structure oriented. So these are basically called as programming paradigms. Okay. So what kind of programming paradigm you're following in order to design the program, it is called as what? Programming. Now, the next one is paradigm, the same thing what I told just now. It is a way to classify programming languages based on their features. Okay, so suppose, for example, if I'm working with C language, then the programming paradigm that I will choose is nothing but procedure oriented. So when I'm choosing procedure oriented, my complete focus will be on functions and everything. Okay, if I'm choosing Java, then my programming paradigm will be object oriented. So my complete focus will be on objects. Okay, so like this, every language has got its own programming paradigm that it follows. Now, next, talking about programming language. So it is a formal language which follows different programming paradigms that produces various output. Now, when I say the word formal language, that means it is in the form of some English instructions. Like, whenever you are doing your programs, you might have observed, like, enter the input for A, enter the input for B. This is the result. So these are a formal language. It's in English instructions, which you follow with some programming paradigms. Like if it's procedure oriented, it will be in the form of printf, scanf, these kind of things will there, like clear screen, get ch. But suppose, for example, if it's a Java, then you will have things in the form of class name, constructors, you'll be there, instance blocks will be there, inheritance concepts will be there. So, English instructions along with some programming paradigm, that you call it as programming languages. Now, what are the different programming languages you have? It starts with C. C is considered as the basic programming language. Okay, then C++, then Java, Python. List is never ending. We are getting every new programming language every now and then. Okay, so that was the very basic. So I repeat myself, like, what is a program? It's nothing but it's a set of software instructions that is used for controlling the operation of your computer. Okay, programming is nothing but the way we design these computer programs. It is called as programming. Paradigm is nothing but it is a way that you classify your programming languages based on their features. Example of programming paradigms are procedure-oriented, object-oriented, structure-oriented, imperative, etc. Okay, programming language is nothing but it's a formal language which follows different programming paradigms. Okay, English instructions plus some different programming paradigms like object-oriented, procedure-oriented, etc. So that you can produce various outputs. Fine. So let's go for the next slide. The differences between the procedural and object-oriented. Like I told you, we have got so many programming paradigms, but let's just discuss the very basic ones, which is the point of concern for us. So the first one is procedural and the second one is object-oriented. Now, what is this procedural? See, in procedural programming, the program is written as a collection of actions. That is nothing but procedures. Procedures, you can even call them as functions, or you can even call them as methods. Okay, so here, whenever you're working with any procedural oriented programming, what is the most important thing? So here, everything is carried out in a sequence, that is one after the other. For example, if you see the blue color screen, here you have got the C structure, and on the right side, the white one, you have got the Java structure. Now, if you focus on the left one, that's C, there is one step over here, that's CLR, SER, okay? And there is one important step over here at the bottom, get CH. Now, what is this CLR, SER? It is actually used for clearing the previous output. Okay, now here, suppose, for example, if you write this clear screen wherever you like, it might give you a problem. So there is some particular place that you have to write it. So if you can observe, it is just written after the variable declaration. This is the step number 1, which you're seeing. It is called as the variable declaration. So you can write this clear screen after the variable declaration, or you can write it after the method declaration, but you cannot write it wherever you like, wherever you want. So following the procedure, following the structure is very important when it comes to what procedure-oriented programming languages. Just example is your C language. Okay, even if you focus on this get ch, it is basically used for giving you the output. So you cannot write it at the first step here at the top. So you have to always write it at the last step. Okay. So this is what is important. And if you can see this printf, the scanf, getch, clear screen, they are all functions. You can even call them as procedures. Okay, so it is all about what the whole C language will be revolving around the structure. Okay. And the next thing is it will be revolving around like how to write the information, how to write the sequence, how to write the steps in the sequence and everything. So now if you talk about the object-oriented, that's your Java, your Python, like what these languages follows, even your JavaScript also follows object-oriented pattern. So what is this object-oriented programming? It is completely based on objects, like which contains data and the code. So it is the combination of various things, like it is the combination of variables, methods, constructors, instance blocks, static blocks. So many things will be there inside your class. Okay, so here what happens is whenever you are working with the C language, I just want to give you a basic idea like how to differentiate your C and Java. So when you are working with your C language, your complete focus will be on, where to write the data, like where I have to write my clear screen, where I have to write my getch, where I have to use this function, that function. So your complete focus will be on where to write the data. When you are an object-oriented programming language, your complete focus will be on how to write the data. Here you don't have to worry that where I have to write my variables, where I should write all the methods and all. Your complete focus will not be on that. Your complete focus will be on how I can write my data. Okay, so that's the basic difference that you can get with your procedural and with your object-oriented. And if you think that there is any language which is object-oriented, on what terms you're saying that it's an object-oriented, here you cannot design even a small basic Hello World application or a big Springboard application you're designing. You cannot imagine it without a term called as class. Okay, so everything, if you can see on the right side, the white color screen, it's a small program to just print something in the for each loop. So everything is being written inside an entity called as what? Class. You write a small statement like hello world, or you write something like a big application of a Spring Boot. Everything has to be written inside a class. So these kind of things, you call it as what? If a language wherein everything is in the form of class and an object, you call those languages as what? Object oriented languages. Okay, your C++ is a very beautiful language which follows two programming paradigms. It works procedural way as well as it follows object oriented way. So you can design your programs in two different ways when you are in C++. Okay, but when you are in Java, it strictly follow object oriented. So there is no way of procedural when it comes to Java. It strictly follows object oriented. Only when you go for C++, you have a choice that you can follow any of the two programming paradigms and you can design your programs. Okay, now if you see, this is small introduction about Java, like who was the person behind this Java concept and also a person named called Java, James Gosling. He was the man behind this. He was not the only person who actually gave Java to us, though there were many other who were involved, like Patrick Norton, Michael Sheridan. So many people were there. So he was actually leading the team at that time. Okay. And every organization is responsible for giving us the softwares like, AT&T Bell Laboratories are the organization which gave C language to us. Likewise, there was an organization called as Sun Microsystems, which is now overtaken by Oracle Corporation. So these were the people who actually gave, Java for us. Now, what was the project name at that time for Java? It was Green Project. And the next one that you're seeing is open source and free software. What do you mean by the term open source? See, what do you mean by this term open source means? Sometimes these developers, they give us that liability that we can see the predefined things. Suppose, for example, if there is any function, any predefined function you take, like set priority or anything like printf or scanf, whatever it is, it's a predefined functions, right? So if you are eligible to go and check its functionality, okay, how they have set the functionality for that function, then that is called as open source software. There is another language like .NET, which is not an open source software. Those people will not allow you to check the predefined things. But Java is an open source software which gives you that much liability that you can go and check the predefined things, how they have set the predefined functionality for all the methods and all those things. Next, free software. It is, you can just download it from anywhere, any website. Okay, so it does only if you're suppose if you are just trying to download it from the Oracle, it just asks you for the license and agreement, all those things. Next thing is what was its initial name? That's its initial name was Oak language. Later on, it was renamed to Java in the year 1995. See, next is what extensions. If you take any small text document also, you have to give it extension to save it, right? Like you have to give .doc or .txt, something like that. So even if you're working with the C, you will save it with .c extension. If you're working with C++, you will give it as .cpp. So likewise, if you're saving your Java files, you have to save it with .java extensions. Okay, these days, the software that we are working with is Eclipse. So we don't have to explicitly give .java or something like that. It automatically just take it when you just give the name. Suppose you are creating a class called as Hello World. So just you need to give the class name Hello World. It automatically adds the extensions and all. What is the present version? So I have to change it actually. The present version that was recently given is 16th version that they're working with. Okay, so they started with one version and now they are working with 16. Presently, it's 16 actually. Now, operating systems, your Java doesn't have bounding to any operating system. It will work on Linux, it will work on Solaris, it will work on Windows, it will work on Macintosh, on any operating system you take, it will work. Okay, so it doesn't have any bounding with any operating system. Anything you can use it. Now, the next thing that's importance of your Java. So many times when we ask students, they, how is your Java classified? So usually they say core Java and advanced Java. It is nothing of that sort. Okay, so the developers have not given us any of the terms like core Java or advanced Java. It is the people who we have decided that it's core or advanced. According to them, Java is classified into 3 modules, that is Standard Edition, Enterprise Edition, and Mobile Edition. So these are the 3 editions that they have given us. So in this Standard Edition, we can design 3 different applications, that is standalone applications. Next one is desktop applications, and next one is applets. So let us just see this one by one. What do you mean by standalone? What do you mean by desktop? What do you mean by applets? And next we can move on for enterprise edition. So let me just open a notepad for you. Okay, I hope my notepad is visible to all of you. So now here, first we are just talking about an application called as standalone application. Okay, now what do you mean by this standalone? See, as the names only tell us that standalone, that means it doesn't depend on any other application for its execution. Okay, that's the first point in it. It doesn't depend on any other application for its execution. So this is the first point in it, for its execution. Now, the second point in it is nothing but, maybe whenever you have done your C practicals or your C++ practicals in your first year of engineering, so you might have observed that it will have definitely main function, void main. So if you can see the example which I have shown you also, like if I just take you back to my presentation here, if you have seen this example, if you can see here, this is having the void main, and if you can see here on the right side, this is also having something called as void main, right? So all your basic C programs, your C++ programs, and your Java programs, which will have the main function in it. Okay, I repeat myself, all the basic C programs, C++ program, Java programs, which will have main function in it, those programs you call it as standalone applications. Okay, so let's just come back to Notepad and write the point. So here it is. They always consist of main method. So all your basic C, C++, and Java programs, which is having the main method, you call them as standalone applications. Now, the next point is connected to the second point. So I told you that they always contains main method. They always consist of main method. So if they have the main method, then definitely the output will be on the console. So now we can say that their output could be seen on console. Okay, you might have observed in your practicals that the black color screen or the blue color screens that you get when you just complete your program and when you hit on run button. So the screen that you get, it is called as what? Console. Okay, so if your application has main method, then definitely the output is on console, and these applications will never depend on any other applications for their output and all those things. Now, the next one which we have to see is nothing but the desktop applications. Now, what are the points about these desktop applications? So, you might have observed some applications wherein you will get the forms kind of things, like enter your username, enter your passwords, enter the submit button. These kind of applications, if you have, those are called as what? Desktop applications. Okay, so here I will write the points. All graphical user interface, GUI means graphical user interface, the applications which will have something like buttons or scroll bars or menu bars. If they have these kind of things, then you call those things as what? You call them as desktop applications. So all graphical user interface applications are called as desktop applications. Okay, now the next point is, so basically whenever you want to design any form or any buttons or any these kind of things, you do this with HTML. There is one language called as HTML. So with the help of that, you design all this text boxes, text areas, buttons, and all those things. So when you want to do this with your coding part, that is also possible. It is possible with your Java. So there are two basic packages which help you with this. So they are nothing but packages like AWT and Swings. So these are the two packages which will help you to design, the desktop application. So we have just 10 minutes left for the meeting. If the meeting gets ended up, you can rejoin the meeting with the same ID. Okay. So here, how you can usually give the packages. Packages are given like java.awt, and you can give it as java.swings like this. Okay. Suppose, for example, if I have to just design a button, or if I just want to design a text field in HTML. So let me just compare both things for you. So if I just want to design a text box and a button in HTML, so usually I started with my form tag because it's available. They are the attributes of my form tag. So here I will just give it as input. I will just give this as type. What is that I want? I want a text box format. And what is the name that I want to give for that particular text box? So let me just give the name as T1, something like this. And let me just close this. So when I just, complete this particular thing, I will just get a text box with a label as username. Okay, this is fine. This is my HTML. And if I just want a button kind of thing, so how will I give it? I will just say input. I will just say give type is equals to, I will write here something like submit, because when I hit on the button, it should submit my information to the backend script, whatever it is. So I'm just giving it as type submit. And here I'm giving it a name. What's the name that I want on that button? I want on the button as like something called as click me. So now these are my HTML code, which I usually want whenever I want to create a form with some kind of a text box and with a button. Now the same thing if I want to do it with Java. If I want to do it with Java, how I can do it? So, in Java, like I told you, there are two packages which will help you with these things. They are nothing but AWT and Swings. So these packages, they have all the predefined classes available. If you want a text field, okay, if you want a text field, I hope you understand the terms text field, text boxes, text areas. Okay, so suppose, for example, if I just want to design something like a text field or text box. So I usually give it something like this. I usually give it in the form of a class, something like this, text field. Suppose I want to give it a name as T1 is equals to new J text field. Okay. So when I say this, a text field will be created with the name T1. The same thing, the next one which I have done, I want a button with the name click me. How I can do it with my Java. So if I just want to do it with my Java, I will give something like J button button. I'll give it a name, some reference as B1. Then I'll give it as new, then J button, and name I want onto that is something like click me. Okay, so I'm just trying to explain you that you can design desktop applications with the help of your Java through coding. The things which you can do with your HTML, it is even possible to do it with coding. So this language which you are seeing here right now, this is called as a tag language. Okay, tag means everything you'll be writing in the form of angular brackets. Within the angular brackets, you will complete your document. So here what you are seeing, this is your Java part. So this is called as your programming. This is not a tag, this is a programming. So there is a difference. Okay, so things which you can do with HTML, even that's possible to do it with your Java also. So these kind of applications, if you design it, this will give me one text box and this will give me a button. So this application which will complete after giving these kind of things, you call that application as a desktop application. I hope this point is clear. Now, the next thing is the next application that we can do it is applets. Under our standard edition, we can complete is nothing but applets. So this applets is very easy to understand if you just compare it with the standalone applications. So the first point just now, which I told you about the standalone application is it doesn't depend on any other application for its execution, right? This is the first point which I told you for standalone. Now, first and foremost, let me just define my applets for you. So what is an applet? Applet is nothing but, first point in this one is they are small Java programs that are embedded in HTML. So what are applets? They will be small Java programs which you try to put inside the HTML. Now, what happens now? Now this applets, that's your Java programs, they are completely depending on HTML for its execution. Yes or no? So you have just take your Java program and you have just kept it inside HTML. So now your Java is completely depending on HTML for its execution. So is it a standalone application anymore? No, it is not, okay? Because it's depending on some other application for its execution. Now, the second point in this one, I told you that all the standalone applications will have main method, right? When I started this standalone explanation, I told you they all will have main method. So here they doesn't contain main method. So applets will not have main method. I told you the second point and the third point in standalone application is interrelated. This is what I told you, right? If they have the main method, then definitely you will see the output on the console. Now I'm telling that applets doesn't have main method. So definitely you will not see the output on the console. So if you're not seeing the output on the console, then where you will see the output? The second option that's available is nothing but the output could be seen on browsers. So guys, these days we are not working with applets, because when I was a student, I have done it practically. I have worked with it practically, but these days it's completely gone. It's been vanished. So this is completely overtaken by servlets. Okay. Now these days, if you want to work things like this, you are actually working it in the form of servlets. Okay. So if you want to see, or if you want to work with the applets, first and foremost, you have to take the Java program, you have to put it inside HTML. So now this Java program is completely depending on HTML for its execution, and it doesn't consist of main method and the output. If it's not having the main method, definitely the output is not there on the console, but it could be seen on the web browsers. Okay, so these are the few points that you can learn under the standard edition. So your standard edition is your core Java part, where you will learn things like OOPS concepts, where you will learn things like multi-threading, where you will learn things like collections. You will learn all the basic things like control statements. You will learn about strings, which is one of the most important concept of your core Java. Then you will learn about arrays. So I'm trying to tell you that when you are in the standard edition part, you will learn the Java language. That means you are learning a language with all its syntaxes, with all its meaning, what is every keyword means, how you have to give the things like, if you're doing overriding, how you have to override it, what are the rules that you have to follow when you are doing overriding. So you will learn every language terms when you are in core Java part. Now, after completing the collections concept, now you'll take a step forward and you'll move to the next one, that is your enterprise edition part. Okay, now if we go, see there's less than 1 minute in the meeting. So you can rejoin the meeting once it's disconnected with the same meeting ID. Okay, so now here, if we go on for the next